Welcome to this explainer. What if we could just completely redesign the very architecture of how our students learn? Today, we're diving into a genuinely visionary framework. It's a systemic transformation strategy called the Two Sigma Miracle Roadmap. We're going to explore how we can finally shift our classrooms away from those rigid, calendar-driven structures and transform them into these magical, organic learning ecosystems.
So let's start here. Picture a totally standard, traditional classroom. You've got 34 students and just one teacher. One kid is completely bored because they already get it, another is totally lost, and the teacher is just stretched impossibly thin trying to manage the whole shebang. So the big question is, how do we make an ordinary classroom of 34 students act like a private tutor? I mean, it sounds literally impossible, right? You can't clone the teacher. But what if the goal isn't to clone the teacher at all? What if the goal is to build a beautifully interconnected network of learning where the environment itself provides that support?
Well, let's dive into the history for a second. Back in 1984, an educational psychologist named Benjamin Bloom threw down a massive challenge. He introduced this concept called the Two Sigma problem. See, he found out that students who received one-on-one tutoring combined with mastery learning performed so much better, literally jumping from the 50th percentile all the way to the 98th percentile. That huge leap is known as an effect of two sigmas. So his challenge to the world was this: figure out how to engineer those highly effective tutoring conditions into normal, everyday group instruction. And you know what? It turns out this was never actually a tutoring problem. It's a systems design problem. We have to completely redesign the ordinary school day to make these kinds of miracles happen.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the failure conveyor belt. Then we'll reveal the tutor secret, move on to building the mastery ecosystem, and finally wrap up with the systemic transformation roadmap. Let's jump right in.
Starting with Section 1, the failure conveyor belt. To really understand the solution, we've got to look at this tragic paradox we often see in pull-out interventions or special education. The students with the absolute highest needs are put into these programs, right? But sometimes they actually fall further behind. Why? Because the system is inadvertently set up to manage their decline. Think about our traditional model. I call it the failure conveyor belt. It is totally calendar-driven. It basically just asks, did we teach it? By the end of the chapter, everyone takes a test. And in this model, a test is essentially an autopsy. It just coldly records what went wrong, and then the class moves on whether you get it or not. But our visionary framework, the mastery learning system, is completely different. It's competency-driven. Instead of asking if we taught it, it asks, did they actually learn it? A test here isn't an autopsy. It's a diagnostic tool that tells you exactly what steps to take next. It seeds this crucial psychological shift in a student, taking them from, I failed, to, okay, I just haven't learned it yet.
Which brings us to this incredibly powerful quote. An intervention is not successful simply because it exists. It is successful only if the child is closing the gap. The math behind this is just devastating when you think about it. If a child is 2 years behind and they only make a half year of progress during a full school year of interventions, they aren't catching up. They are actively falling further behind the main curriculum. True, meaningful growth requires actually changing the daily conditions of learning so that we accelerate that growth.
That brings us to Section 2, the tutor's secret revealed.
So if we want to fix this conveyor belt, we have to look really closely at that original Two Sigma miracle. What is it exactly that makes a private tutor so effective? And more importantly, how on earth do we reverse engineer that magic into the architecture of a regular classroom? Well, we have to look at the tutor's advantage. A tutor naturally breaks things down into really small instructional units, right? They give immediate feedback and they set crystal clear goals. If a student is confused, the tutor gives corrective instruction right there on the spot. They allow for flexible pacing and they check in constantly. A tutor doesn't just arbitrarily turn to page 47 just because it happens to be Tuesday. They adjust in real time based on the human being sitting in front of them. Our massive challenge is figuring out how to distribute those exact functions across a room of 30+ kids.
Moving on to Section 3, building the mastery ecosystem.
Okay, this is where it gets really exciting. This is where we stop treating the classroom as a place where one adult stands at the front and lectures, and we start treating it as a dynamic, interconnected environment. Picture this sort of solar punk, Montessori-inspired room where learning is cooperative, it's beautiful, and literally everyone is a resource. In this space, every single student gets a learning map. It's inspired by tools like the Swedish Individual Development Plan, and it asks 4 essential questions. What can I do? What am I learning now? What comes next? And what does mastery look like? Imagine if, instead of handing a kid a failing grade, you handed them this map. It completely shifts their psychological mindset. An assessment is no longer this harsh judgment of failure, it becomes a forward-looking, highly actionable roadmap.
And when we go to teach that very next step on their map, we have to use a powerful bridge of understanding. This is a concept you see a lot in Montessori and Singapore math. You don't just throw abstract symbols at kids, you start with a concrete experience, like actually playing a game with physical blocks. Once they get that, then you move to a pictorial representation, like drawing those blocks on paper. And only after that do you introduce the abstract symbol, like the number 3. This progression builds true, deep understanding, rather than just forcing them into rote memorization.
But here's the catch. One teacher can't do this one-on-one for everyone all day long. So what do? We use structured cooperative learning frameworks, like Kagan structures. These rely heavily on something called positive interdependence. Now, this isn't just telling kids to turn to a neighbor and chat. That's usually just chaos with furniture. We're talking about highly structured roles like sage and scribe, where one student explains their thinking and the other has to write it down. They literally cannot succeed without each other. This transforms every single peer in that room into an active instructional resource. It's a fully distributed tutoring network.
And finally, Section 4, the Systemic Transformation Roadmap. So how do we take all these incredible concepts, mastery, learning maps, concrete to abstract, cooperative structures, and actually build a living, organic ecosystem in our schools? It all starts with the mastery cycle. This replaces the old teach, test, move on conveyor belt model. Instead, you teach, the students practice, you check for understanding, you diagnose and correct any errors right then and there, and they practice again until they master it. In this system, and this is so crucial, a test is never an autopsy. It is purely a diagnostic instrument that tells the ecosystem exactly what corrective instruction needs to happen right now.
To make this cycle a reality, we need 8 mutually reinforcing pillars. Let's run through the first 4. First up, diagnostic clarity. We absolutely must focus on true competencies, not just slap broad grade-level labels on kids. That clarity is what allows us to set the second pillar, clear targets, which makes those next steps totally visible via the learning maps. To reach those targets, we lean on the third pillar, the concrete to abstract approach, ensuring kids have real experiences before they start manipulating symbols. And this whole engine is fueled by our fourth pillar, mastery feedback, which creates tight corrective loops and immediate responses. These 4 functions right here form the core instructional engine. But an ecosystem needs to grow, right? So we build it out with the next 4 pillars. Pillar 5 is distributed small groups, using those Kagan structures for peer tutoring. This is supported by Pillar 6, explicit social and behavioral learning. Because let's be real, you can't have cooperative learning in a chaotic room. Kids need to practice focus and executive function. Then comes Pillar 7, progress monitoring. We collect data to actually drive tomorrow's instruction, not just to fill out some spreadsheet for the district. And finally, Pillar 8 wraps it all together, family partnership. This creates a culture of shared responsibility with zero blame. Listen, if even one of these 8 pillars is missing, the whole ecosystem breaks down. This isn't just some shiny new curriculum you can buy out of a catalog. It is a fundamental redesign of how a classroom operates. And that brings us to our final thought. The ultimate goal of this 2 Sigma Miracle Roadmap isn't just to get higher test scores. Not at all. It is about a profound psychological transformation for the learner. It's about moving a child from that devastating, heavy belief of I can't learn this, to the incredibly empowering realization of I haven't mastered it yet. Think about that for a second. What would our world look like if we built an educational system that truly structurally believed every single child could learn and then actually designed the exact conditions to make that possible? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll leave you to ponder that question.